Hi guys, welcome back to We Should Talk, a pop culture interview series from In the Know. I'm your host Gibson Johns, and this week on the podcast we have Ciara Miller from Winter House and also Summer House, obviously. I think Winter House has been a really fun addition to the yearly Bravo schedule. I think it's a great midway point between Summer House seasons, and I also think it's going to be drumming up a lot more excitement for this coming season of Southern Charm because of what's happened on Winter House. Are Paige and Craig going to factor into it? Are Ciara and Austen going to factor into it? Madison's engaged, so I think there's going to be a lot more sort of momentum for Southern Charm this year than there has been in years past. And then I also think that obviously Summer House is just going to continue its upward trajectory that it's been on for the past 4 or 5 years, and Winter House is just going to help that. And Ciara was just such a fantastic addition to Summer House last year. The fact that she decided to film Winter House as her first season of Summer House was airing, and then go on to film another season of Summer House. I think that speaks a lot to just sort of her approach to being on these shows. She is pretty laid back, but she's down to get into it and speak her mind. She's kind of part of the central romance on Winter House this year with Austen. So we talked a lot about that, where they sort of stand now and where she is mentally with that. The Lindsay of it all and what she knew going in, what she didn't know going in. Also talked about Andrea and Paige and Craig a little bit. There's a lot of different storylines that are happening on Winter House that I think are intriguing, and sort of how they interweave with the other various shows on Bravo is really intriguing and interesting. And, we talked a little bit about Summer House, season 6. She couldn't tell me much. Obviously the wedding is part of that, so we talked about that. And we kind of just went through all the different topics that people would probably want to hear from Ciara about. So keep listening. My interview with Ciara Miller from Winter House. Tune into Winter House Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on Bravo. And please rate, review, and subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so we're here with Ciara Miller from Winter House, from Summer House. Ciara, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just thinking about your past 18 months of your life, which
Yeah.
I'm 2 seasons of Summer House, Winter House.
Mm-hmm.
How has this time been for you? Or do you feel fully kind of steady in it now, or are you still kind of learning it?
Every day's a learning curve. We're still learning it. I feel if I think about it, it's really only been just a year of a lot of filming. So, it's still an adjustment period. Still kind of trying to get my bearings,
Mm-hmm. But was there a moment for you when you were like, okay, I'm down for this. I'm down to go down this path, because I think Winter House filmed when Summer House was airing your first seasons of that. So
yeah,
you must have had to make a decision sort of kind of really in the moment as it was really ramping up for you. Okay, I'm going to double down on this.
Yeah. I definitely was okay, we've got the spinoff. Do I go and film this? Made the decision. Yes. And then once we got to Winter House and we started actually we had a lot of fun. Oh,
yeah.
I curse.
Yeah.
We had so much we had so much fun, and I was okay, I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Summer House season 6 was
yeah,
you get invited back. I'm let's do it.
So was it a no-brainer for you to do Winter House, or was there some sort of questioning in your mind about, do I do this?
Yeah, there was I feel there's always some hesitation with me, because
right.
I'm of course, it's going to be fun. The idea of it's great, but it's also still I don't even know what it's like. We've only gotten through a few episodes of Summer House yet. How is this going to go? But
exactly.
I'm glad I definitely made the decision to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I tweeted this, and I think I told you this when I saw you at the Winter House party, but
yeah,
one of my biggest learnings from that first episode of Winter House was that this show is going to kind of solidify you as a star, as a Bravo star, and just sort of cementing your place within this sort of little universe that exists, and some of these sort of younger skewing shows. And I don't know, have you felt sort of obviously I think a lot of people have accepted you as part of this group, but have you sort of felt that okay, I'm in this, I'm sort of just at the same level as everyone else?
That's such a good question. Actually, wow, that's a great question. I think I'm still so new to it. I'm still getting used to it that I actually even forget myself. Oh yeah, I'm on a TV show with these people, and it's still something that's still kind of foreign to me. I'm still trying to like get used to it and remember and figure out like what I'm doing with it. So, but I do feel like in terms of like just being friends with everyone, like it's a really good cohesive group. So like, yeah, I feel like definitely even after the summer, like, yeah, like I'm not the new girl anymore.
No, exactly. It's like there were already, I think part of it was that there were already new people on Winter House. You know what I mean? So I think that sort of was like, oh, like Ciara's already been around the block. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that might have sort of helps like sort of push that narrative for me. But I don't know. I just think it made me excited to see you continue to sort of go down this journey.
Yeah, definitely. It's always easier to like come in with a group of new people. I kind of came in on my own, so it was like,
yeah. And you held your own.
It's different. Oh my God, thank you.
Well, and I think also what's really fun this season for me to see is you and Paige are a really fun duo. You both come in single, and you're in the primary bedroom together, like you're like sort of the queens of the castle, if you will. And like obviously, I think last season of Summer House, like Hannah was around, so it was sort of like more of like a threesome of a group, and but for you, I feel like you and Paige really got time in this 17 days of filming for Winter House to really sort of like take your friendship to the next level. And I love if you could just talk about that, because it's really coming across as fun and on camera to watch for a lot of fans.
I mean, it definitely catapulted our relationship. I think it took it to a whole new level once we got done filming Winter House. It was like, I mean, it just was so fun to like have a sleepover with your friend like every night, and like we'd go off on our own and do like whatever and like go find our boys and then come back at night at like 2 a.m. in the bed and just like kind of like chit chat about everything. So it was like kind of like being in high school, but like obviously faced in high school, probably. Like it was just kind of like very like, I don't know, like just like we just felt like little young girls, and like it was just fun, and like we got to bond, like sharing a room and like confiding in each other, and just kind of like, I mean, there are moments of like, yes, it's fun, but we also have our moments of like anxiety, and like we just need to like throw our conspiracy theories on each other at like 3 a.m. and just be like, okay, we're both crazy.
And I feel like I also love how like you said, you both come back at night and just like, even if one of you's like in there to sort of like cuddling with one of the boys, like you're like, okay, get out.
Yeah, there's so many times we had to throw them out. Like Austin would fall asleep a lot in the bed with like a bottle of whiskey or something, and be like, okay,
Shocker.
I gotta take this bottle from you, and I gotta like push you out. But like, no, I mean, it was good. We like honestly, like sharing a room for us worked so naturally.
And I tweeted this out, and Paige responded that your bed had broke, but I want to know the full story about why you guys are sleeping with your pillows at the foot of the bed. Like I feel like it just like started happening, and I was like, okay, like they never addressed this, and I'm just curious, like it's act like it's normal. What happened?
I know a lot of people have been asking us this question. Like our bed broke. I don't think there was like a box spring, and like it would be like the 4 of us in bed, and like it would sink at the head of the bed. It would like sink in. And so we'd be like sitting in like a ditch, and we're like, what? Like we can't sleep like this. So we ended up just putting our pillows at the end because we weren't sinking on the end. We lifted up the mattress one morning because we're like, what is going on? And there was no box spring. So it was kind of like, I don't know. So we tried, like, I think they ended up fixing it midway. Okay. But like also when you have like 4 people in the bed, like of course it's like bound to sink.
And also it's like you guys are going to bed probably somewhat, you know, inebriated every night. So it's like you can probably sleep, or it probably doesn't matter what the sleeping situation really was.
I mean,
we've all been there.
Somehow we always made it back to our bed. Always.
You should feel proud about that.
Yeah. Like I think the last night I fell asleep on the couch, the last night, but then I woke up at like 3 a.m. and got back in the bed.
I love it. So, I mean, we talked about you and Paige getting really close, and something that obviously, I mean, if you guys can do the dual makeout in the hot tub, like, I think that's like going to bring anybody close. And like, you both came in single. And I think that again, that's fun because like, you know, I think some of the people in the house were wifed up and were in relationships or engaged or sort of different levels of commitment all throughout the house. But I think to have kind of these 2 women who are single, who are down to have fun with some of the other single guys in the house, like, I think that like the show obviously needed that energy. And I feel like you guys brought that.
Definitely.
did you going into the house, going into the trip, you obviously knew who was going to be around. Did you have like any kind of sort of conception about how the relationship aspect of it was going to go for you?
Not a clue.
Okay.
Not a clue. I had no predictions. I think people had predictions for me.
Right.
But like, I honestly was very open. I didn't like come in thinking that I was going to like necessarily be with Austen or be like, that would be the thing. But I was kind of just like, I just want to have a good time. I'm open to do whatever. And then like, obviously like you vibe with who you end up vibing with, which me and Austen definitely ended up like really hitting it off, and it just kind of like worked.
I mean, there were immediate sparks. Absolutely. I mean, I think like, you can see that on the first episode. It's like there's something there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know you know what I mean. But did you have any sort of? It seems like you're sort of finding out, as the audience is finding out, about how sort of tight Lindsay and Austin actually were and sort of their history. Was that you really learning about sort of their tightness on camera?
I'm still learning about it. There's a lot of stuff that I wasn't privy to.
Yeah.
And then I'm just now watching, and I'm like, okay, like things would have been a lot different had I known like some of the information. So there's in what
way would have been different for you?
I mean, in terms of like, you know, I like Austen kind of looking like he's playing both fields. And then like, you know, Lindsay's like being truly hurt by like me and him, like having a thing. I don't like, had I known that emotions were that deep, I would not have entered into like a relationship or like a situationship or whatever.
Yeah.
In Vermont, I think it would have been definitely different. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I truly didn't.
I mean, and how are you're not going to know by osmosis. You know what I mean? Like,
and nobody, and like, we were there for 17 days. So, I mean, we definitely had an opportunity to chat about it. And like, if something needed to be said, there was time and there wasn't. And so, I mean, but my problem wasn't ever with Lindsay. It was definitely with Austen. And like, you need to clear this up, whatever it is. And like, if you guys feel like you do want to like figure things out, you have unfinished business, then you guys need to go and do that. And I'll take a step back and whatever. But Austen did a really good job of like being like communicating like, no, that's not what I want. He set his own boundaries. And I just was like, okay, well, I mean, this is what you're telling me. These are the boundaries that you're setting me. You're kind of putting your actions and your words are kind of aligning. So it's like,
and you did give him that space to be like, okay, like you served him up the option. You know what I mean? And he kind of, I agree. And from what we've seen, it really seems like he actually is kind of staying true to his word and sort of how he's actually feeling about it. And like, obviously he was also coming out of like, he was coming out of this really long, weird on and off thing with Madison that, you know, people who watch Southern Charm had been really privy to for a long time. And one, I guess, how familiar with you were with that situation? And obviously because that also became like a huge thing with like literally J-Lo and A-Rod were like in the same headlines as them. You know what I mean? Like it became huge.
Yeah, I honestly I don't watch Southern Charm. I didn't watch it beforehand, and I made it a point not to watch it prior to coming to the house because I wanted to fully get to know Craig and Austen without having my bias already like in my head of what they could be or what they are. Sure. So I wanted to give them a fair chance. And so I mean, like I had seen things, but I wasn't up to date on all the information. And quite frankly, I didn't want to be. Like, I just felt like, okay, he's not in that relationship anymore. I don't need to know the details of it. And like, that's his past relationship. Okay. But I mean, I could definitely tell that there were moments in the house where he was like definitely struggling with it. And like, and not that like he expressed like some things towards me, but not like, or he expressed it with me, but like, not the nitty gritty of it. Like I don't think he fully wanted to have like the ex talk, which I totally agree with and understand. Yeah. So it's just like, it was, I can see it was like an internal struggle for him of like, oh, liking someone and then having this be on the back burner and then Lindsay. And so it was just a lot. It was a lot. Yeah. And honestly, I don't think he expected like the whole I love you thing from Lindsay. And like, you know, he got kind of hit out of left field with a lot of things. So
yeah. And I think it's a lot. it was a lot with people that were also in the public eye. So like,
Right.
he probably knew that everyone was going to have all these opinions on it. So like,
Yeah.
I think all things considered, it was honestly handled pretty well, I would say.
Right.
And,
yeah. I mean, like, it could have been worse. And I mean, like, being in the public eye and having like your whole relationship being like, picked apart. And then not to mention you go out and people are continuing to tell you their opinions on your relationship. It's like, damn, when can I ever get away from it?
But yeah, it's like, can you ever escape?
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously you guys really hit it off, and it's fun to watch you guys together. What can you tell me about sort of where things stand with Austen now, or sort of what the future looks like with you sort of beyond the show?
The future, not sure, but right now we're like, it's a little bit rocky. It's really just like the nitty gritty of like filming a TV show and having like, there's a lot of like, when you film with someone that you're like intimate with, like I feel like there's like a certain level of trust that I need to have. And I'm very much like loyalty and trust is like at the foundation of like what I like my relationships. And so when I feel like that is shaken or it wavers, like it's kind of hard for me to like,
yeah,
it's kind of hard for me to like brush it under the rug. So yeah, so I feel like we are just kind of like, we have to take a little bit of time, but like, I don't think we'll ever not be friends, truthfully. It's just a matter of like, I just think that like, he needs to be more set in his opinion of things and not like be influenced by other people's opinions. So yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's and also it's like you guys have you have a whole other show to contend with too. I mean, like he's filming Southern Charm right now, and it's like that's a lot of factors to deal with. I feel like for
a lot.
You guys.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And circling back to Paige, I mean, obviously we're seeing her and Andrea on the show, and I think it's a really fun, playful thing. But we obviously all know that she's dating Craig now, and I think that's it's again, it adds this whole other level of intrigue. I think to the whole thing. It's sort of like I see fans that trying to match up timelines and all. It's like people are doing a lot.
People are doing a lot, and I'm like, you need to just relax because it was not like that. It was not dirty, and like
I totally agree. No,
Paige is not the type to be another chick on the side. And Craig damn sure does not believe in cheating or even like coming close to an element of that. So like the timelines are fine and they play out just fine.
I totally agree. I think again, people are doing too much. But I think like, again, like there's sort of this hopefulness for like the Summer House crossover next season of like, okay, like Paige and Craig are dating. They confirmed it on Instagram. What can you tell me about what we might see from them sort of going forward into season 6? If you might not be able to tell me anything.
I don't even know if I can tell you anything. I just think that you guys are really going to love season 6. It's going to be even crazier. Was
it fun for you to film a regular season of a show, or a more regular season of a show where you could actually go out and what have you?
Yeah, it definitely was. And then being there on the weekends, I think we definitely needed time there and time apart to like kind of decompress after the weekend. And like, honestly, I don't think my liver could handle like living there for like 7 weeks. Like,
Well, I feel like that's a big difference of Winter House and Summer House, which is like Winter House was like 17 days of a party. And like, we're seeing much less of, I mean, there's a lot more like relationship, personal life stuff, but like, we're not hearing about your guys' jobs really, or
which
any sort of personal stories. Right.
Yeah. Which is so nice because like, everyone works cool, but like, I don't care about it. Like, I don't care. Like, can we just have a vacation? Like, I don't want to hear about anybody's job,
So from your perspective, was it literally like, what was like, were you guys waking up, drinking? Like what was like your
No, it was more like waking up, struggling some more, get in the shower, struggle through your shower, get out, try to figure out what to put on. And then like, someone's like, you want to pop some Voof? And then we're like, okay, fine.
Okay.
Like, you want a fireball? Like, okay. And then like, but then some people would, I mean, I don't want to call anybody out. Craig would wake up with Bud Light in his hand. And honestly, you don't know where the first one began and you don't know where it ended. He always kind of had a constant Bud Light. Like, no, it kind of varied. Like sometimes it'd be like, damn, I'm so hungover. The only remedy is to just drink a little bit more. And then that obviously like
So were there any outlets for you, like, because I'm feeling like nobody can really get away from the group or in any way for like for these 2+ weeks, but like I remember like Paige and Hannah would talk about they would like binge Love Island on Summer House, like sort of when filming wasn't really intense. Like, was there any sort of outlet for you to unplug? Or
we would on our off days, we like our first off day, we didn't even come out of our room. Like one of the producers was bringing us like handing us chips and bags and just like to eat and candy. So we literally just had it all on our bed. We turned on, what did we watch? I don't even remember what we watched because we were just like in and out of sleep, wake up, eat. And then like, maybe later that night, wake up to try and go find like food downstairs. But it was a lot of just like, we would try to like watch a movie. Yeah, vegging out, try and watch a movie. And then our closet. We spent a lot of time in our closet hiding.
I'm getting the sense of that. Like there's a conversation that happens with Gabby in there that you join. Like that's sort of like, I feel like that's the pantry. That's the Summer House pantry.
It's the pantry. We did the closet. We loved that closet.
What happens in the closet?
For that closet stays in the closet.
Wow. We don't want people staying in the closet, but in that closet, it's okay.
In that closet, it's fine.
Oh my gosh. Which newbie for you brought it the most? Like I'm trying to get a sense of sort of like how much they're playing into all of it.
Yeah.
Who for you sort of stuck out the most during the trip?
Andrea definitely came out of his shell.
Yeah.
He was kind of intimidated by the boys and we'd be like, oh, you want to stay with the girls? Like, you want to stay in the house with the girls? You don't want to go
every day.
Yeah. And honestly, he was like, I just feel more comfortable around you guys. He wasn't sure if they really liked him. And then kind of you guys don't see Austen and Craig kind of put Andrea through a fraternity, hazing type of thing, where he was doing all types of weird. One day he had to go, Julie's like, why are my panties on the floor? Because he had to go and steal panties from all the girls' rooms. Yeah, it was crazy. But he definitely came out of his shell more. And then, I feel like I'm closer to Julia, getting to know Julia, who, we weren't really, that close initially, but by the end of the trip, she's definitely a person that I, love and gravitate towards. And even gone to see her in Miami, and whenever she comes to
fine.
We make it a point to hang out and see each other. So I'm definitely grateful for that friendship. So
yeah. All right, cool. And I'm curious, we talked about Lindsay a little bit earlier, but I'm curious what your friendship is like with Lindsay. Do you guys have a one-on-one friendship, or is it you're more just part of one big group? Where do you guys stand, just I guess on a personal one-on-one level?
I think one-on-one, we're kind of just mainly a part of a big group.
Yeah.
There's just been a few things that have gone down where it's been it's kind of hard for it to just be one-on-one at this point. Without saying too much, I just feel we're just kind of opposite a little bit, and that's okay.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then, obviously Hannah was not around for Winter House, and she's not going to be on Summer House going forward. And you guys really hit it off, I think, last season of Summer House. You guys were kind of you became fast friends, I feel in that lockdown
definitely
house. And I feel again, as a new cast member last year, that was nice for you to have that sort of that person.
Definitely.
What's it been like for you to not have Hannah there as your person? Obviously you found Paige as somebody else that you could really be buddy with, but Hannah specifically, sort of what has it been okay without her for you? Or just talk me through sort of mentally where you were.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. I think when we went back this summer to film, it was very strange. But I always tell her, I miss you. I wish you were filming with us. And she was definitely my rock last season, and quickly became one of my good friends. But there was just a lot of drama that went down, and her taking a step back and being able to pursue comedy on a full-time level is also something that I feel was so good for her, because she's been killing it. And like, we've remained friends and we still see each other. And like, I mean, she made me go feed butter when she was out in LA last week.
Oh, so it's that
like,
level of friendship. It's that level of friendship still. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we still have a good relationship and I love her. And like, I don't think I'll ever never not be friends with her. I mean, like we talk daily, one, because we're sending like a bunch of cat memes to each other and then we'll just like say little things in between. But like, no, me and Hannah's relationship is still there and like it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's good. That makes me happy because I think sometimes for viewers it can feel like, and I'm not saying you guys felt like this, but it's like, okay, like, you know, you want to make sure these friendships that feel so real on the show are still as real kind of outside of the show. And it's nice to hear that you guys have maintained that because it can't be easy to do that either.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And it would be so hard to like only see each other when we film. I mean, like, you know, I feel like at least me and the girls, we try to like, do we go to lunch, go to dinner, do something, and like always kind of like, you know, make it a point to see each other.
Yeah, and stay grounded in the actual real life.
Actual real life, because sometimes we have to be like, okay, in real life, like like A, B, and C, you know, like let's talk this out, you know?
Yeah. And then, you know, I interviewed Kyle and Amanda at the beginning of the season. You know, the end of Summer House next season is going to be their wedding. And it looked like it was sort of like the perfect Kyle and Amanda wedding. It looked like it was just like pure fun and just like everyone was having a great time. Talking about that day just a little bit, because I think it just seems so perfect for them.
Yeah. I mean, I remember asking them like, why don't you guys just go to the courthouse? And they were like, no, we want to party. And like, I was like, of course you guys want to party. And it was a party. It was such a good time. I mean, she looked breathtakingly beautiful when she came, like at the end when we're like sitting at the dinner table and she came out. I just was like boo-hooing. I was like, she looked so happy, so at peace, and just like it was kind of like a relief, like we finally got to this point, we are married and like we got to do this in front of like our closest friends and family, and now we get to celebrate this. I mean, Kyle looked incredible, even had an outfit change. Like it was, I mean, they looked great. And like, it was good to see them like just get to be surrounded by like the people that love them the most. So, I mean, the wedding will definitely go down as like one of the best weddings. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. And I told them this, but like, just like the amount of coverage and attention that wedding got that weekend that it happened, like I was pleasantly surprised by like literally how like it was a huge deal and everyone was talking about it, and it just made me happy as again tracking their relationship for so long. It's like it was the moment, and I'm glad they had that.
Yeah, because I feel like everyone, even before I met them, I mean, like you guys have been on this journey with them for a while, and like, and I didn't even think like coming in last year, I was like, oh well, if I get married next year, I probably won't go. I mean, like it's just like a new friendship, but then I'm like, damn, like, no, I feel like I've actually like been a part of y'all's relationship, even though it's only been a year, but like, I feel like I wouldn't miss that for the world. You guys getting married.
And I think it shows how much like doing a show like this, doing shows like this, you just kind of jump into it together. And like, it's just this share, I feel like it's a fast track to some sort of relationship, and it's
jump in, eyes closed, but like hands held.
Yeah, exactly. And okay, so going into your first season of Summer House, like before that, you were on the front lines of COVID as a nurse, and you were sort of bopping around different cities, and like I feel like doing that Summer House thing was just you just sort of jumping off that diving board and like sort of, but you also gave yourself sort of a summer break by doing that. What does like your outside of Summer House and Winter House life look like now? Are you stationed in New York? Are you still doing nursing? Like, talk to me about what that part of your life looks like.
So I ended up leaving Atlanta, my sweet, sweet hometown, Go Braves, because we just won the World Series last night. I mean, I had to do something different. And so I moved to New York full time, signed a 1-year lease. So I am here for the next year at least. And then, I was at the hospital after Winter House aired. And then like, I was kind of trying to balance like modeling and the hospital. And then, just kind of keeping in mind, I would have to be here in the summer for the filming of Summer House. So then I took the summer off again this summer, and I am like, you'll see me trying to like start at the hospital. I am PRN, so as needed right now at the hospital with like things going on with the show and like different modeling things. I have not been able to work full time, but I'm about to like get back into it now that it's November and things are dying down with the show airing and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I still have my nursing license. I will always be a nurse. I've worked a few shifts since Summer House has ended filming, but not as many as I would like. But yeah, I mean, I think I'll work in the hospital at least for the next few years, I think. I just sometimes I need something that's like less self-indulgent, and that's it. So
no, I feel like it's a nice balance for you. But I also think that like you jumped into this experience, and I think it speaks to, it really is the full-time gig. It's not just filming. It's not just airing. There's so much that happens in between those two things, and that are you having to support those two things, and like, I don't know how people have other full-time other things happening.
Yeah. And like mentally, I mean, and there was a part of me that was like scared to jump back into the hospital full-time, because I was like, you know, the unit is like, it's crazy. And like, I know, like, you never know how crazy it's going to be. And like, there's just anxiety with going into that, because I'm like, am I mentally ready? Am I emotionally ready to go back into the hospital? Like it becomes very draining, not to mention juggling like the reality TV aspect portion, the anxiety and mental state that you're in with that. So it's like trying to find the balance with the two of them and keeping sane. Yes,
for sure. What have you found is sort of, I mean, you're talking about the balance, but what, sort of in general with this whole experience, what have you found as sort of the biggest learning curve for you, or the most difficult aspect of just the whole thing?
You just get everyone's opinions.
Yeah. Unsolicited. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like unsolicited opinions, and a lot of people telling you what they think that you should do with your life. And it's something that like, you know, is just like weird to me, because I'm like, I don't think, unless you're my best friend, I'm not honestly going to tell you like what I think, or unless you ask for it, you know? So yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird to get adjusted to. And then like the other aspect of people thinking that they know you entirely just from the show. And it's like, damn, like there's so much footage and you only get to see a little portion of it, and you don't really know me 100% off of it. So yeah. And well, I feel like that's, you know, like winding it down, I feel like that's sort of what the people who have been on for longer, what that longer time on the show affords them, is like, it does, again, you only get so much time, almost only so much screen time on a show. So it's like on an ensemble show, you know, and if you're on for, it's a large cast.
3, 4, 5, 6 seasons, then that's when sort of like, you know, you can sort of at least show a little bit different parts of your life that will give everyone else sort of a more well-rounded view of you, but it's still not enough probably to really feel like people understand you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's so much that goes into it, you know?
Well, Ciara, it was so fun to get more time with you. What can we expect from the second half of Winter House? It's only 6 episodes. I wish it was more, but what's going to happen in that last half?
We kept trying to tell them. I mean, it's going to be, there's a few more ridiculous parties that we have. Of course, there's more drama. And I think, you know, hopefully you guys just get to see a sweet little love story-ish, you know, little romance. And yeah, but all very PG. Don't get crazy.
And then season 6 of Summer House. I know you can't say much, but do something like what's the season like? Like, what's the vibe? I've heard there's a lot of theme parties that happened. What's like a tiny little detail you can tell me?
Our parties are epic. I mean, I think that season 6 of Summer House is nothing on season 5. I think that like we continue to out ourselves. Like,
that's what we all want, Ciara. Come on.
Like, you know, just when we think we can't get crazier or stupider,
you do. Well, it was that quote unquote post pandemic. We're not the pandemic's not over, but it was that sort of post pandemic feeling last summer in New York.
Right.
Like,
yes.
It got to people. It got to people.
We were out and about and being wild. Yeah.
Well, Ciara, thanks so much for taking the time to talk. And where can people follow you, or anything else you want to plug before we sign off?
I'm on Instagram, Ciara Miller with 3 underscores, and like I do have a Twitter, but I'm not really using it that much because y'all are
Probably
crazy. Yeah. So I'm just gonna stick to Instagram. I'm gonna have fun with that. So
love it.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Thank you so much, Ciara. We'll
Thanks,
tune into the rest
Gibson.
of
I
Winter
appreciate
House.
you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for listening. For more celebrity interviews, subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you heard, please rate and review us, as any show of support you can give us would be greatly appreciated. You can follow me at Gibsonoma on Twitter and Instagram, and you can follow In the Know at In the Know on Twitter and at Watch In the Know on Instagram. We'll talk to you next time.